Look, we seriously have to talk about what just happened in Monterrey. Imagine being a fan of the nation that literally invented total football. You grow up on stories of Cruyff, Neeskens, and an identity so strong it changed the sport forever. Then, you wake up on June 29th, 2026, and watch your team treat the ball like it's a live grenade. On a night that should have been a tactical chess match between two top 10 giants, the Netherlands decided to show up and play like an underdog fighting for a draw in a Sunday league. It wasn't just a loss, it was a total collapse of self. While the world was watching Germany's historic penalty meltdown in Boston, the Dutch were busy committing an even weirder crime against football in Mexico. By the time Ismail Saibari stepped up for the final penalty, the Orange identity wasn't just bruised, it was dead and buried. And the craziest part? The person most disgusted by it wasn't even Dutch. It was Zlatan Ibrahimović, and he didn't hold back. The stage was set at the Monterrey Stadium. 51,243 fans. The round of 32. This was the only fixture in this round featuring two teams from the global top 10. On paper, this is a blockbuster. But the second the lineups dropped, something felt wrong. Ronald Koeman, a man who knows the Dutch way better than almost anyone, deployed a 5-2-3 structure. Now, usually the Netherlands wants the ball. They want to dictate. But in Monterrey, they surrendered. They retreated into a deep 3-4-2-1, essentially telling Morocco, "Here, you take it. We're too scared to play." And Morocco? They didn't just take the ball, they owned it. They finished the night with 70% possession. Think about that. The Netherlands, in a World Cup knockout game, had 30% of the ball. They completed only 32% of the possession share. It was passive, it was cowardly, and according to Zlatan on the U.S. broadcast, Koeman was coaching like an Italian coach from the 60s, playing not to win, but simply not to lose. The first half was a slog. Frankie de Jong and Ryan Gravenberch, two of the smoothest operators in midfield, were basically tourists. They were constantly overrun by Morocco's dynamic midfield engine. Morocco was brave. They played a high-intensity 4-2-3-1. Achraf Hakimi wasn't even a right back. He was a pure winger, terrorizing Mickey van de Ven. The stats are actually embarrassing for the Dutch. They managed an expected goals, XG, value of just 0.23 over 120 minutes. They created 0 big chances. Meanwhile, Morocco created 4. The only thing keeping the Netherlands in the game was Bart Verbruggen. He was making jaw-dropping reflex saves, denying Neil El Enoui and later Soufiane Rahimi in extra time. The Dutch were milking the clock and lumping the ball forward as their only tactic. For a nation built on the beauty of the pass, watching them complete 400 fewer passes than their opponent while standing in a low block was a travesty. Then, in the 72nd minute, the script flipped. Koeman brought on Wout Weghorst and Teun Koopmeiners. It worked immediately. Weghorst won an aerial duel, classic Dutch plan B, and flicked it to Crescencio Somerville, who found Cody Gakpo. Gakpo smashed it home, but there was no wild celebration. Gakpo sank to the turf, overcome with emotion. See, this wasn't just a goal. Only 2 days before this match, Gakpo and his partner had confirmed the tragic loss of their unborn son. His teammates surrounded him in a prolonged group embrace. For a moment, the tactical identity crisis didn't matter. It was a human moment. The Netherlands were minutes away from a smash-and-grab victory. They were heading to the round of 16. But when you betray your identity for 90 minutes, the universe usually has a way of correcting it. Stoppage time. 1 minute in, a substitute named Kemsdijn Talbai floats across from the left. The Dutch defense, which had spent the whole night superbly marshaled by Virgil van Dijk, finally fell asleep. Issa Diop rose the highest. He wasn't even marked. He headed it past Verbruggen, and Monterrey exploded. 1-1. The Atlas Lions had forced extra time, and the Dutch looked physically and mentally spent. They had no more ideas. They were just waiting for the execution. The shootout was, in a word, chaotic. It was objectively poor according to fans, but high on drama. 5 total misses. Koopmeiners scores for the Dutch. El Enoui hits the bar for Morocco. Then it gets weird. Justin Kluivert, brought on specifically to take a penalty, hits the post. Soufiane Rahimi scores for Morocco, but barely. Verbruggen had his hands on it, but slipped out, hit his back heel, and trickled over the line. The misses kept coming. Quentin Timber dragged his wide. Achraf Hakimi, the superstar, hit the post. Finally, it came down to Crescencio Somerville. He'd been their best spark all night, but Bunu saved it with his left hand. Ismail Saibari stepped up. The same Saibari who had spent the night elbowing people and playing with a bloody shirt. He didn't blink. He blasted it home. And just like that, the Netherlands suffered their earliest ever departure from a World Cup. So what do we make of this? The Netherlands didn't just lose a game. They lost their soul. They tried to play a game that didn't belong to them, ceding 70% of the ball to a team they should have been dominating. While Morocco moves on to face Canada, Ronald Koeman is left facing a national outcry. He says he'd do it again, but the fans in Rabat, who were waking up to the sound of car horns at 5 a.m., probably hope he does. The Dutch era of total football feels like a distant memory. In 2026, they chose passivity, and they paid the ultimate price. But let me know in the comments, was Koeman right to be pragmatic, or is Zlatan right? Did the Netherlands seriously betray everything they stand for?